Okay, Lou, I think we may be live.
I think we are live. It is fabulous to be here at the
Hey,
start of
Lou,
our
I think
new venture, and great to see that people are coming in and joining us. Please post a comment, and keep your questions coming as we very welcome you to this. I'm really grateful to you for giving up some time on a Monday evening to find out what FE Constellations is all about. I'm just going to say a few words about where it all comes from. My name's Lou Mycroft. I've been working with Joss for 4 years now on various national professional learning programs, as many of you here will know. And you know what we have learned? We have learned that community is what it's all about. Community is what drives change. It's what makes things happen. It's what keeps the fires burning inside our own hearts. And we've learned that what we are really good at is creating those virtual communities for you to be change makers. And that's what FE Constellations is all about. We'll say stuff about the practicalities. We'll answer all of your questions. But actually, where I want to start is where we always start with the values. We have got 3 absolutely central guiding fundamental values, and each of our 3 live streams is going to consider one of these. So I am going to hand over to you, Joss. Tell us about SEVA.
Thank you, Lou. And I'm just going to say hi. We've got people popping in, so that's fabulous. We are good, Stacey. We are good. SEVA. Okay, so this is an interesting concept. So I've been pondering it for a while. I've been noticing it keeps popping up in different areas of my life. And a couple of years ago, a small team of us at Touch Consulting, we designed some CPD, and it was very much focused around the study program, focusing on enrichment activities. And I remember thinking about that language, enrichment activities, citizenship, and it didn't really resonate with me. And as I was exploring it, it was a part of the Study Good program. It struck me, and it seems so obvious now, but it struck me. It was enrichment is a form of SEVA, and SEVA comes from the Sikh religion, and it means selfless service. And it's enacted in lots of different ways, but it's very much about behaving and thinking about things where perhaps ego isn't in the way. So it's not for personal gain. And the best way I can describe it is growing up in East London, Mum used to take me, my siblings, and my cousins to our local Gurdwara every week. And sometimes after a lot of protest. And I was talking to Lou about it the other day, and I was saying, actually, I really miss it. And the SEVA at the Gurdwara was enacted around food. So the idea is anybody who comes into the local Gurdwara from the community, doesn't matter, religion, creed, sex, etc., they can come in and they can eat communally. Yep. Food is there, hot food, usually chapatis, always vegetarian, dal or sabji. But the point is, the way the Sikh community in particular enacts SEVA is it's in the preparation of food, done communally in massive big kitchens and served communally. So we sit on the floor, we eat, and that is open to everybody. Intergenerational, grandparents, aunts, uncles, you name it, everybody has a role to play. And I was just saying to Lou, incidentally, actually, that's incredibly rich for, English, maths, functional skills, emotional intelligence, compassion, all of those things we talk about a lot. And I was just saying to Lou, I miss it. And I don't know whether it's this, well, I know what it is. It's that sense of belonging to something which is larger than ourselves. And it keeps coming up, this idea and concept of SEVA, these behaviors. And thinking about the work we've done over the past, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, that sense of community, that sense of being part of something that is larger than ourselves. And I think particularly back to AP Connect and some of the research which we carried out with advanced practitioners, one of the key things which came up was the importance of community as part of the pandemic and how it really supported collaboration and reduced isolation. But actually, regardless of the pandemic, there's lots of research pointing towards the importance of being part of a community, of serving that community and giving towards that. So it's really interesting because SEVA is one of our ethical cornerstones, I guess, for this new collaboration, FE Constellations, and all of the rest of the ethics sits around that. So I think that's the best way I can describe it.
That's a beautiful description. Our stories are so much part of all of this work that we are doing together. So I embrace all of it, the FE communities and constellations. Hey, Nick, it's so lovely to see you. I embrace Joy FE, of course, and all that stuff that has been happening over the last few years in FE, which has absolutely been about connecting people. And which has not happened by chance. It's your energy that's made it, all of you and everybody else who's listening to this, and many other people who are not. And what we've learned to do is create the conditions for that. And that is through SEVA, through that community sense of belonging. It's actually through the structures of the architectures that we have put into place, hopefully, that you don't necessarily see. Freedom needs boundaries. Hey, Matthew, that allows us to be able to communicate better with one another. And we have learned in the midst of all that, most powerfully, that actually you know your stuff. You know, one of the things about being what other people call a consultant, and I have never called a consultant. I used to work in the NHS. Consultant's something really different. But people sort of look and, you know, we lose currency after we've been out of education for a while. We've never wanted to do that. And maybe we've worried about that quite a bit. And now actually we realize we don't need to worry about that stuff anymore because you've got currency. You're on top of things. You will tell us if there's some real cutting edge expert-led CPD that you need to know about. What we are really good is at creating opportunities for change makers, for people to learn to be change makers. And that comes off the back of a real shift in thinking about what professional development is in FE.
Absolutely, absolutely. And our big focus is around developing paradigms of professional learning with community first. Content's still really, really important, but actually in the service of community first. And one of the things we've learned is the virtual architecture can really support that, to enable those conditions where change makers up and down the country can connect, can collaborate and co-create. And we're describing it for FE Constellations as futures which previously have been unimagined. Because there's so much power, energy, momentum in that space. And FE Constellations, sort of new collaboration we're working and launching actually, is very much to channel that.
Yeah, because what happens is you get stuck. Organizations get stuck, individuals get stuck. You have good intentions. We all have good intentions, and there's so much noise and busyness that we lack the capacity to shift those intentions into actionable ideas. That's what FE Constellations is about, creating the conditions, the architecture for you to unstick yourselves, unstick the organization and move into that actionable stuff, make things happen. And another thing we learned really powerfully is that works best when it's pan-organizational. So to move on to the practicalities a little bit and maybe to, spur some questions from you all. First of all, we see FE as a very, very broad church. So if you are listening and you're not in a college, you're not even in an organization that is funded through FE money, none of that matters. You're not in England, doesn't matter, not in the UK, doesn't matter. This is not, we're released from those parameters that we have had. So if you work with young people and adults in any sort of educational capacity, that doesn't mean you have to be a teacher. Some of the best change makers that I can think of are the head chef. In fact, I'm thinking of a couple of catering managers, actually. So we're back to food again, Joss. I'm thinking about, that person in finance who just finds way through things. I'm thinking of amazing learning mentors. I'm certainly thinking of librarians. So this is absolutely not just for DFE funded FE. It's not just for the UK, and it's not just for teachers, though it is also for all of those people, to help you get unstuck and move your good intentions into actionable ideas. So what FE Constellations is an online community using a really slick platform called Mighty Networks. And as I said to Joss when we were looking at different platforms, if it's good enough for Yoga with Adrienne, it's good enough for us. And within that space, everybody will participate as an individual and work pan-organizationally. So you are not just in a little cohort of people you work with, you're working across the board, and maybe even with people who are not teachers, and maybe even with people from, I don't know, India or Ireland or Australia or whatever. And that's what makes it super exciting, because you each bring your context to it. The FE Constellations is for individuals. It's very much for organizations, and Joss will explain a bit more. We will share a link to the landing page so you can see prices and everything. But we hope that individuals will join us and release as many of their staff that want to come along, who will then encounter FE Constellations and go through the program as an individual. And Joss, we've so much to offer people, plus some stuff that we've not even quite finished developing yet. So do you want to say a bit more about what's on offer?
Absolutely. So like Lou says, it is a membership community, and people can, an organization can join on a monthly basis. But we're pretty sure you'll love it, and I want to stay a little bit longer. What we've got is the virtual architecture is incredibly important, and a lot of that will be invisible, but this is the stuff which allows you to connect with fellow change makers. The virtual architecture, so we've designed the program in a way which really allows us, that's me and Lou included, with fellow change makers, to mine our know-how, the stuff we do out there in our organizations, the stuff we know, the stuff we perhaps know but don't know we know. And some of the amazing stuff we do, but because we're just so stuck in it, it's really sometimes difficult to see that. So this is very much about that collective space, working together to mine that know-how, to support that energy. So 5 key ingredients, I guess we could call them. One of the things which you'll be engaging with as a part of that community is what we're calling, it's a weekly, fresh, evidence-informed, curated learning experience. It's pretty exciting. It's designed in order to surface that know-how amongst change makers. We've got various activities happening within that. Monday's polls, because we know how busy a Monday is, but that Monday poll, quick, fast, furious, it introduces you to a specific theme based around the big purpose of that community. We have Tuesdays navigating sticky spaces, and that is a live session. It will take place every Tuesday PM, 7 till 8, very much leaning on thinking environment principles in order to create that equality and help you to get unstuck. You bring the content, we bring the facilitation. Friday's Freshest Insights, that will be a live stream Lou and I do, pulling together all the threads from the week. And what we'll also be doing is just sharing with you what we're calling sort of artifacts, a podcast, maybe a video, maybe a short article, which illuminates that theme from that particular week and unpacks it a little bit more. Sunday Sense Making, that's chat based. So again, that's anytime you can pick that up. And that is very much around not what you did over the last week, but actually what did you create over that last week. And again, that's mining that know-how. That's very carefully designed. We have a think note library, which you can access at any point, with change think notes from practitioners and change leadership experts from across the world, actually. We're also designing and will available in probably about October, November time, our flagship Changemakers program. So that will be online. We do online really well. That will be online, and you'll have lifetime access to that. Quite an exciting curriculum. We also have our Lou, I love this one, potential challenges. Tell us a bit more about potential challenges.
Well, you know, freedom needs boundaries, but we need the space to be spontaneous as well, don't we? So we know what the energy is going to be like once this community starts to build. And there are going to be things that we will build and work on together. We don't know what they are yet. I guess our job is to see where there's an opportunity, people are getting together, where there's some energy, throw in our skills, you know, people joining in with one another to actually make something different happen. Make something, perhaps an event, or perhaps, you know, a program, or, you know, whatever it is. So we are really looking forward to those potential challenges, because there always needs to be that space for new stuff.
Absolutely, and you'll see on the landing page when we drop it in, you know, do have a nosy. We've got some lovely, you know, examples come from Changemakers themselves. Help! I've been asked to write a sustainability policy. What on earth does that look like? The benefit of the community is forget doing it on your own. Let's do that together as Changemakers, and maybe 5, 6, 10 people interested in that. The architecture allows us to get you into a group, and you can communicate, chat away, go live stream, whatever works for you on that potential challenge. Again, we provide the structure, we provide the process, you bring the content. We are also going to be introducing our biannual Changemaker retreats. So we're just working that through. We suspect one will be online and the other will be face-to-face. And again, we want to do face-to-face special. So we're just working through that. And in a nutshell, that's our program, co-created with yourselves, very carefully done over a 52-week period, mapped back to that big purpose of supporting change makers to move from that space. And we all get there, you know, stuck in that space, and to move from that into actionable ideas. Very easy for Lou and I to get stuck in a space where it says, actually, this is what we want to do. We want to create something, but the tough bit is moving into those actionable ideas. And that's FE Constellations for us, for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're really aware it's a new concept. It really is a way of rethinking professional learning. It isn't a course. People can come in at any time. They can do as much as little. You know, your engagement will ebb and flow as you work through the year. People will encounter one another in different spaces, but that architecture holds it in place so that you can get out of it not only some amazing personal development, and we will all experience that, but also that stuff that you need to be able to make change happen in the world, to change the world, in fact, which is what, you know, we've always been about. So we are just learning to articulate this. We have lived and breathed it since the end of March. We're still finding the words, thanks to those who have listened to us and given us feedback in the creation of this so far. Going forward, we're going to be co-creating what comes next with the community. Happy to just get in touch at any point on social media if you've got any questions. Yeah, we're learning to find the words from it. And thank you so much for coming along tonight.
And I guess the final thing to say actually is I've just dropped in the link to our FE Constellations landing page. We're doing a 2-week, what we're calling our launch, talking to people about it. We kick off on the 27th of June with our live launches for members who join the community. There is a 7-day trial as well, so you can get in there and have a nosy. And I was talking to Lou earlier, she goes, I'd like to see what kind of platform I'm working with.
Absolutely. Just one thing to leave you with, something we've not quite nailed yet. We want this to be a space that genuinely provides a welcome and a space of belonging across all dimensions of difference. We're still working through how we're going to do that. We're still working through how we can do some sort of pay it forward without, you know, before we've even started. So we haven't got anything to pay forward, but, you know, ways of bringing people in the community, welcoming people fully as themselves. So we'll probably have more to say about that in the next broadcast. And Stacey, no, an organisation does not have to give authorisation for individuals at all. It is absolutely possible to join completely as an individual. There's no funding limits on this. You can join as an individual or as an organisation full of individuals as you wish.
Super.
Okay. Any more from you, Joss?
No, I'm just having a quick scan to see if there's any more questions. We've been breathing and living it, so it's really good just to get questions. Any observations?
And we are doing this again on Thursday at 3 p.m. and then the following Thursday, the 23rd at 8:30 a.m. So feel free to come back and share any questions. And we did say we'd get done in 20 minutes and we've rambled on. So I think time to go now and wish you all a lovely, lovely Monday. Thanks for coming.